Stuck in traffic and frustrated, a Mafia member got into a fit of road rage. He approached another driver to confront him, but the driver didn't take it well. In response, he pulled out pepper spray and sprayed both himself and the Mafia guy.
Улучшай отношения с разными фракциями, чтобы получить доступ к новым технологиям. Если ты играешь с друзьями, то вместе вы можете собрать непобедимого составного робота. На карте мира ты найдешь любое задание. Бои с другими.
Unfortunately for the driver, the pepper spray didn't have the effect he hoped for. Instead, it enraged the Mafia member, who grabbed a gun and, without hesitation, fired at the driver in retaliation.
Битву, сражения с огромными боссами или сюжетный режим. Также в игре постоянно проходят особые ивенты. Прокачай Battle Pass, чтобы открывать новые детали и чертежи. Качай кросс-аут бесплатно по ссылке в описании.
Riding with a gang can sometimes give a biker a false sense of power, and that was precisely the case here. As a black SUV was rounding a corner, one biker, feeling bold, decided to swerve at the vehicle. The SUV, packed with Mafia members, didn't take it lightly. They chased the biker and forced him to the side of the road. The Mafia men stormed out of the car, visibly angry, with weapons strapped to their sides. It looked like the biker's fate was sealed as they approached, armed and ready. Fortunately, bystanders stepped in and calmed the situation, defusing the chaos.
Abi hani hızlı geliyorlar ya, kontrol amaçlı ya. Abi kontrol amaçlı.
This dash cam captured when a G-Wagon suddenly stopped next to an SUV, causing traffic to halt. The driver quickly got out of his vehicle. It seemed something had happened earlier, and the G-Wagon driver, who turned out to be a Mafia member, wouldn't let it go. He went straight to the SUV's passenger seat and started throwing punches at the passenger. Surprisingly, the passenger fought back while the SUV driver tried to drive off. The Mafia driver returned to his vehicle, but to everyone's surprise, the SUV passenger got out and went after him to continue the fight. Despite taking several punches to the face, the passenger stubbornly refused to back down, determined to stop the Mafia guy from leaving. CCTV captured a tense moment between a bald Mafia guy and a pub customer. Initially, it seemed like a simple misunderstanding, as the two men argued calmly without any signs of aggression. But suddenly, the bald guy threw a jab straight at the other man's face. The seated man tried to hold back the Mafia guy, but that only made him more aggressive. The situation quickly spiraled out of control as everyone around watched helplessly. Fortunately, a man in a blue jacket showed up just in time. He immediately stepped in to separate the two men. When the bald guy refused to back down and kept pushing for more, the man in the blue jacket ended the fight with a few hard punches, knocking the Mafia guy out cold before calmly walking away. In Russia, teenage gangs operate differently. In this video, a train operator captures the moment several teens try to break into a train. Luckily for the operator, the train started moving just in time before they could get inside.
Пошел нахуй, уебище!
When these teens manage to board the trains, they steal anything they can find and even attack the operators.
Дай печатку заберу. Все, нет. Печатку забери. Полез, блядь, долбоёб. Побежал, съёбываемся. У меня ебальник купил.
The party seemed normal at first until a group of hippie Mafia guys entered the club and went straight into the crowd. They were having fun and blending in with the party. But soon, things took a turn. The men started fighting, throwing punches and slamming chairs. Meanwhile, the band in the background kept playing fast-paced metal music, adding energy to the chaos. The CCTV captured the moment when a man tried to stop some Mafia guys from beating up another customer in a bar. But things quickly turned bad as the men began attacking him too. When it seemed like the fight was over and the Mafia guys were about to leave, the man grabbed a chair and slammed it on one of them. That triggered round 2 of the fight, but this time with chairs and bottles. The thugs didn't just keep beating the man, they also started damaging the bar.
Шо, хуй?
In this video, a sedan pulled over to the side of the road, not appropriately parked. A man in a white shirt got out and walked straight into the bushes, while his associate stayed in the car watching. A few moments later, the man in the white shirt came out of the bushes holding something. He walked to a car parked in front, made an exchange, returned with a bag, and then got back into the sedan, which drove off. According to reports, this dashcam footage captured a drug deal. Tired of the drug dealers in their neighborhood, residents of Novokuznetsk decided to take action. They armed themselves with sticks, stakes, torches, and axes, while the thugs came prepared with dogs and weapons. After some back and forth, one of the drug dealers got hurt, and a woman had to step in to stop things from getting worse. Thankfully, that was the end of it, as the drug dealers finally retreated. This female reporter showed real courage, thinking she could interview a man angrily walking toward the cameraman. Things quickly turned frightening when another mafia guy grabbed the reporter and threw her to the floor. Then, they all turned on the cameraman, attacking him. Stuck in heavy traffic, a Russian gangster saw the perfect chance to rob another driver. 3 men started smashing the car's windows while the driver, unable to move, had no way to escape.
Всего доброго. До свидания.
After several hits, the driver finally gave up and opened the door for the robbers.
Есть шпана. А наши все сидят. Да, сейчас. Куда позвонить?
CCTV footage captured the moment 3 masked men entered a store. Inside, the armed men forced the cashier to lie on the floor while they emptied the cash drawers. They left quickly, just as they had come. It was quite a scene in a Moscow mall when the anime gang PMC Redan clashed inside.
Чё? Стоять. Оу, тебя ударили?
The chaos ended when mall guards stepped in and broke up the fight, bringing the group back to their senses.
Нормально все? Нормально?
After receiving intel and tracking down suspected Mafia members, special operatives sprang into action and targeted a sedan.
Отсюда заезжает автобус. Давай, работаем. Стреляй, стреляй! Стреляй по колесам!
The driver tried to escape, but it was no use. Some officers were wrestling with the steering wheel, holding on until they gained complete control of the vehicle.
Давай! Давай! Вперед, вперед, вперед! Закрывай! Закрывай! Закрывай, вперед! Давай, езда! Давай, давай, давай! Лупи! Лупи стекло! Давай, лупи стекло! Давай, давай, вырывай! Вырывай! Вылезли все!
The Mafia members in the car finally gave up, stepped out, and were taken into custody by the officers.
На пол! На пол все! На пол! Убивай, блядь! Убивай! Убивай, пидорасов! Убивай, блядь! Руки, блядь, руки, сука!
After a G-Wagon overtook a Russian driver on the road, he got angry and pulled out his camera to record himself confronting the driver.
В смысле он меня подрезал? В смысле он меня подрезал? Я не понял вообще.
Fuming, he walked up to the G-Wagon, knocked on the driver's door, and demanded an explanation, but he instantly regretted it when the window rolled down, revealing Special Forces officers, with one of them pointing a gun at him. Luckily for him, the officers weren't after him, so he quickly ran back to his car.
Ты как ездишь?
Чё хочу?
Извините, извините.
Ты что ли?
В смысле, это свои были?
Я понял, заебал.
Special Forces recorded the moment they broke into a bulletproof Mafia car and arrested the driver.
Это уникальные кадры. Спецназ полиции, вооружившись кувалдой, пытается вскрыть бронированный инкассаторский автомобиль. Объясняется все просто. За рулем не сотрудник охранной фирмы, а торговец наркотиками.
Ребята, чё? А чё? Куда вы?
The car had a strange design, built to protect its passengers from gunshots and explosions from rival gangs.
Двойное стекло бронированное, да?
Через крошечное окошко в машину передавали деньги. Из него же клиенты получали так называемую соль. Крайне опасный синтетический наркотик, вызывающий мгновенное привыкание и быстро превращающий наркоманов пациента психиатрической клиники.
Задняя стенка автомобиля тоже усилена металлом 5 мм. Стекла двойные.
Staying safe in Russia isn't always easy. You never know who you might encounter. In this dash cam footage, a sedan driver got upset during an argument. Instead of moving on, he lost his temper and grabbed an axe. Who even drives around with an axe? The other driver had to back up as the furious man smashed his window, clearly trying to cause as much damage as possible. As the first driver reversed, the angry man considered throwing the axe but changed his mind and returned to his car. It didn't end there. The man, clearly prepared for trouble, pulled out a pistol and started shooting before speeding off. On February 17, 2016, armed law enforcement officers raided a restaurant in Dzerzhinsky, Moscow, to break up a meeting of high-ranking Russian Mafia members known as the Vory v Zakone, or Thieves in Law. A total of 59 Mafia members were arrested. The attendees were heavily armed. Officers confiscated 15 handguns, 5 rifles, a shotgun, and 15 knives. The weapons were sent for testing to check if they were linked to previous crimes. In Chelyabinsk, the Mafia controls the highways. They set up checkpoints and make drivers pay cash to pass.
Олег зовут, пишу, ЧТЗ, блядь. Блядь, как? Читызовский, я понял? Олег Читызовский, блядь.
The driver is given a ticket in this clip as proof of payment.
За городом смотрят, блядь, за читызовские пацаны. Вот пусть твой шеф поинтересуется, Олег Читызовский. Он работает на трассе, и пусть поинтересуется, блядь.
In another restaurant raid in Yekaterinburg, officers arrested 167 suspects during a meeting.
Russia's Interior Ministry has released a video of a police raid on a restaurant in which 167 suspected gang members were arrested. It happened in the central city.
The officers said the gang leaders were in the middle of dividing territories for their operations.
The authorities say organized crime gang leaders were meeting to carve up territory. The police seized weapons, drugs, and allegedly counterfeit spirits.
On July 12, 2016, FSB agents stormed the luxurious home of one of Russia's most infamous crime bosses, Zakhary Kalashov, also known as Shakro Molodoy, in Rublevka, an upscale area in Moscow. His men were forced to the ground with their hands on their heads as officers held them at gunpoint. In a video from his kitchen, an officer questioned Kalashov about being a thief-in-law. Kalashov just smirked, refusing to talk on camera, and demanded the recording stop for a real conversation. The officer, however, refused to turn it off.
Фамилия, имя, отчество. Я ничего не буду говорить. Вы являетесь ли вором в законе? Отвечайте, пожалуйста. Я не буду перед камерой ничего говорить. Ваше положение в преступном мире. Не буду перед камерой ничего говорить. Вы еще тут не разыгрываете.
In Russia, road rage often takes a wild turn. In this clip, a taxi driver impatiently overtook some cars, which annoyed the dashcam driver. Frustrated, the dashcam driver called him out and overtook him in retaliation. But things didn't end there.
О, хуй тут едет, сурок ебаный.
A few moments later, the taxi sped past again, swerved in front, and blocked the road. The passengers jumped out and the taxi driver headed straight to his trunk.
Чё хуесос, блядь?
He pulled out a baseball bat while the dashcam driver stepped out, holding an axe. Thankfully, they managed to calm down and walk away without a fight. After watching these Mafia members closely for some time, undercover officers finally took action. They cornered the suspect's car in the middle of the road and surrounded it from all sides. Without any struggle, the suspects gave up peacefully.
Да, перекрывай. Все, работай.
Стоп, работа, быстро вышел, вышел! Вышел!
When searching the car, the officers found a gun, a sledgehammer, and a military weapon. What started as a peaceful night drive quickly changed for a truck driver when a reckless sedan suddenly swerved into his lane. The truck driver got out to check for damage, thinking it was just an accident, but he quickly realized Mafia members were robbing him. In this case, cops were after a Mafia transport truck carrying several bulletproof cars. Despite the officers' desperate efforts, the reckless truck driver showed no signs of stopping.
Давай, давай! Оп!
Стрелять, наверное, надо. Не стрелять надо. Стрелять, что надо.
Realizing the driver wouldn't pull over, one officer overtook the truck, hid in the bushes, and did something unexpected. He threw a large stone at the truck's windshield.
Смотри, сам аккуратно уходи. Хорошо, понял?
That was enough to make the driver stop, and he was taken into custody. In December 2015, 53 Mafia members were meeting at a country club in a Moscow suburb when special forces busted them.
In law, are a powerful and interesting bunch with one of the most fascinating underworld codes among the world's major organized crime groups. Unlike career criminals of other global underworld traditions, such as the Italian Mafia, who often mingle seamlessly.
When one Mafia member was interviewed, he explained that they had gathered because one group member sold a car to someone in the other group without mentioning that it had been stolen. The buyer felt insulted and wanted compensation.
Apparently, a member of one group sold the BMW to a member of the other without first warning him that it was stolen.
Друзья? А кто друзья? Друзья кто? А по какой статье вы ранее судимы? Давно освободились?
The buyer considered this a great insult and sought compensation, if not revenge.
After gathering intel on a gun-running gang, the Russian army raided the area. As soon as they entered the property, they took an older man wearing a military uniform into custody. Inside the building, the officers found a wide range of weapons, from handguns and rifles to knives, grenades, and various types of bullets. After interrogating the arrested suspect, they learned more about other members of the gang and began a manhunt.
Фамилия, имя, отчество?
Яковлев Александр Петрович.
Громче!
Яковлев Александр Петрович.
Год рождения! Лицо вниз! Нагло!
In this CCTV footage, 5 men casually walked into an ATM booth and began trying to remove the machine. They had planned this, as a getaway car was already waiting. They struggled to load the heavy machine into the trunk while a passerby watched. After finally securing it, the vehicle sped off and the men scattered.